What if My Hero Academia's Class 1A was an attack on Titan? Who'd get eaten and who'd get... beaten? I don't know, I wanted to make it rhyme. This is Anime Rewrite, narratives and editorials. We'll be starting from after they've gone through training. 1A replaces all of Eren's group, and Deku has one for all instead of the attack Titan. Class 1A would be in the Trost district, when the colossal Titan appeared again, breaching the gate. Deku would stand traumatized at the sight of it, as he remembered 5 years ago when All Might held the Titans back single-handedly so that the Shiganshina district citizens could escape, before finally being devoured as his muscle form failed, all because he'd given up one for all. This time will be different, he promised, as the colossal Titan destroyed the wall cannons. I'm going to save everyone! Bakugo blasted his way towards the colossal Titan, launching an explosion from his grenade gauntlet that decimated its face and sent it reeling back, disappearing in a cloud of steam. Got him! Bakugo announced before narrowly avoiding a Titan biting off his leg. A moment later, its nape would be severed, as Ida used his leg thrusters in conjunction with the ODM gear to rush in. Careful, Bakugo. Don't rush in. Don't tell me what to do! Bakugo shouted back, blasting the nape of another Titan as he maneuvered around it. They had defeated the colossal Titan, but the gate still had to be closed, or they would lose Trost District, just as they had Shiganshina. Frappe leapt from rooftop to rooftop, using her tongue to grab Titan's arms and tug them away from potential victims, or expose their nape. The rest of the class had spread out to enclose the entrance and prevent any Titans from breaking through, as Mineta was grabbed out of the air by a Titan, teeth crushing down on its head, and bouncing back as his head balls resisted the force. The same Titan collapsed as a blonde woman slashed through its nape, landing on a rooftop. Mineta gaped at Annie Leonhardt as she darted off to help someone else. As Shoji monitored the situation with his multi-purpose limbs, Yaoyorozu created a cannon and cannonballs for other classmates to fire in support. By the gate, Todoroki, Kirishima, Ashido, and Kaminari were charging through the Titans, using their collective ice, electric, acidic, hardening, and flame quirks to carve a path to the gateway. There, Todoroki incinerated any Titans in his way and filled the space with a massive glacier. The gateway group cheered, just as a shadow covered Todoroki. Move, you idiot! Bakugo called from above. But Shoto barely had enough time to make a thin ice wall before the abnormal Titan crashed down on him, grabbing the young hero in his ghoulish hands as it bit down like he was an ice cube. Chunks of ice fell away like plaster as it chomped down. His group tried to help, but having charged headfirst into the mass of Titans, they had to worry about saving their own skin. The ice continued to crack and break apart as the Titan's monstrous jaws ground away. Even with the ice protecting him, the teenager felt like he was in the back of a garbage truck, the Titan's rank breath reeking of viscous, decayed corpses as it pulverized his torso. He hallucinated, seeing the northern lights wait. It was Deku using full cowling, and he landed a 10% smash right in its forehead, knocking the creature's mouth wide open. Shoto abandoned his broken ice armor and shot a jet of fire through its mouth, incinerating its nape from the inside. Thanks, Deku, Shoto spoke as the Survey Corps leapt into action, working in conjunction with the heroes to finish off the remaining Titans within the Trost district. The city was safe. As Bakugo landed, he noticed Bertolt looked winded and bruised. What happened to you? Oh, I ran out of gas. I had to run here from Tawana Drive. Bakugo shrugged and walked off. eager to stop breathing the same air as Deku. This is normally where these narratives have stopped, so if you prefer the longer format, just let me know in the comments below. Now, a lot of the canon episodes would be rendered irrelevant here, due to there being no controversy over someone in the walls being a Titan, and the hole in Trost District being plugged. Also, without Eren involved, there would be no goal to reach the truth in the basement of his old house. Marco would also survive, as the battle in which he was left to be eaten never happened. Really, so far, the heroes from 1A would be doing exactly what they were meant to do: save people and overcome all odds. They would even be congratulated by Commander Irvin Smith when he returned from rescuing a town in the Shiganshina district from the Titans. Of course, Bakugo would challenge Levi at every opportunity, claiming that, "You're not tough." However, they would still have captured the two Titans that Hanji ended up experimenting on at the old castle grounds in Shiganshina district. The Titans would still be killed by a mysterious assassin in the night. However, Tokoyami's dark shadow quirk would tell them it was a woman, and that she had moved well. Now, without Eren and his Titan, the female Titan that emerged to hunt them down would be going after ranked officers like Commander Irvin for assassination. However, as Class 1A would be spread out among the horseback formation, when she came at their right flank, Kaminari would be there to shock her, and Sero to try and use his tape quirk to trip her up. But her abilities would simply be too great for them, and she proved too intelligent and resilient, massacring their entire group and leaving them horseless. The young heroes would send up a signal flare, though, to alert the other groups, and as the female Titan closed on Uraraka's group, the Gravity hero used her quirk to make the horses and riders weightless, allowing them to float away like paper when the female Titan struck them. As it observed Uraraka's scouts drift away, a star seemed to crash down from heaven towards the female Titan, as Bakugo performed a howitzer impact, smashing right into the female Titan's face. It plowed through the ground as it landed, but the levity vanished when the creature stood up once more, blue crystal fading from its face. Bakugo snarled at how his special attack had proven so futile and launched into the air. The battle was akin to a fighter plane taking on an air carrier. Each strike the female Titan sent out was a kiss of death for Bakugo, should he fail to avoid it. Meanwhile, his explosive attacks, though dampened by its resilience and sometimes outright cancelled by its crystallization, were wearing away at its slowly healing flesh, like pavement on exposed skin. As the battle drew on, the scouts and heroes encircled the female Titan, for although the scouts were weakened by their limited ODM movement capability on the open plains, the heroes were not so hamstringed. Yagorozu and her assistants in the form of Sugar Rush, Kirishima, and Invisible Girl created and fired her cannons at the female Titan's feet, while even Mineta found a use for himself in throwing his sticky balls at her legs to reduce her mobility over time. With Todoroki on standby besides Frappe, as well as Ida, if the female Titan tried to make a getaway, they could cut her off. That was when Bakugo made the mistake of getting too far out of range for its punches. "Watch your kicks," came a shout, and Bakugo barely dodged one as it came up, shattering one of his grenade gauntlets in passing. The creature used the momentum to swing around, jolting in and meeting the female Titan fist to fist with one for all. Bakugo's eyes went wide as his death approached. Deku cried at 20%. Although not enough to annihilate the female titan's left arm, he did manage to knock her off balance and shatter the crystallization. Now, the pair would still have a tumultuous friendship, but understand that in a world like this, where a single mistake could cost you your life, their teamwork would have to be much better, not to mention their military training. So as Bakugo observed Deku's saving blow, he wouldn't hesitate to blast past him and use his howitzer impact attack again, this time bursting through her right shoulder before the female titan could harden. As its one arm crashed to the ground, the female titan tried to regain its footing, only to sink down into the broken earth. Yaoyorozu's plan hadn't been to destroy the female titan's feet, but rather give it unstable footing which, with Mineta's sticky balls, would significantly compromise the female titan's mobility. Between the use of just one arm and fighting both Deku and Bakugo, the female titan was worn down until, in a conjoined strike, they blasted her head clean off. As it collapsed to the ground, the scout regiment would finally allow itself to relax, until a massive explosion sent their ranks reeling, many getting scorched by the release of steam as the colossal titan appeared out of nowhere. If you're enjoying this narrative so far, please flip that like switch, and if you haven't subscribed already, now is the time. It swung its arms and legs in huge arcs, scattering their forces into disarray. They would ask themselves how this could happen, where it had come from, how they could take it out without even being able to get close. And amid the confusion, the female titan regenerated just enough to sense what was going on, swung out a kick in as wide an arc as it could, smashing into first Deku and then Bakugo, before righting itself and hobbling away, with only its sense of touch intact. As the scout regiment scattered, reforming to face the new threat, as well as sending Tokiyami, Ashido, and Invisible Girl with Levy's group to chase down the female titan. With Yaoyorozu passed out from the pain of her burns, only a few cannonballs were left to fire from the cannons she had created. Kaminari, having just arrived with Sero, overloaded himself to shock the colossal titan enough to stun it until they'd reared the cannons around and fired them at the colossal titan, exposing its bone in several places but accomplishing little else. As scouts stuck their grappling hooks into the titan to climb aboard, the creature released another wave of steam that blasted them away. As Deku and Bakugo groaned and scrambled onto their feet, watching the others try and fail at engaging the colossal titan, Bakugo asked, "How did you know to watch out for her kicks?" Deku forgot his pain for a moment and frowned. "Because it's Annie." Having come to respect the fierce girl as a capable comrade, Bakugo found such a thing hard to believe, particularly since they had no idea what turned someone into a titan to begin with. But they didn't have time to argue. With the female titan fleeing towards the forest and their inability to do anything to the colossal titan, it wasn't looking good for them. But there was something. Each time the colossal titan released its heat, the creature seemed a little smaller. Rather, it seemed to lose some of its skinless muscle mass. If that was true for its nape as well. "I have an idea!" A few minutes passed, and the scouts began to ease off. But just as they did, Bakugo launched into the air and pelted the colossal titan with a volley of explosions. It fired off a blast of steam that expelled him, but the young hero blasted right back, firing off another volley. Again, the colossal titan repelled him, only for Bakugo to retort further aggression. His skin was dry and chapped, but there was just enough time between exchanges to keep it from being life-threatening. Meanwhile, the colossal titan was wearing away its own muscle tissue, and as Bakugo finally lowered to the ground, he shouted, "Now!" And Ida activated his Respiro Burst in conjunction with spearing his grappling hooks into the titan's backbone, shooting towards its exposed nape. As it fired off another, stronger burst of steam. Even Deku was shocked that it could still release so much with its muscle mass so diminished, but Ida's armor provided him some degree of protection as he struggled to push closer to its nape. Inch by inch, the heat grew hotter and his blade drew closer. The sweat pouring down his face inside the armor was Ida's only respite until it too had dried. Deku looked at Bakugo, his hands racked with pain from overusing his quirk, at the colossal titan that had inadvertently killed so many each time it broke through the gate, and at Ida, who was screaming inside his armor and yet still fighting. As his leg thrusters finally died out, Ida felt something smash into his back, bringing him just in range of the titan's nape and allowing him to swipe his red-hot blade through its weak point, ending its emission of steam and sending it crumpling to the ground below. Deku landed, holding Ida. We beat it, Deku," Ida's cracked voice uttered from inside the armor. "That's right, Ida. Now just relax." As the titan's body dissolved, Ida's hoarse breathing grew weaker. With no recovery quirks, it would be impossible to simply heal his wounds like they did in the main series. Whether Ida died or not would be solely up to his will to live. From the evaporating mass of the titan's corpse, something shifted. And the scouts looked on in shock as Bertolt crawled his way out of the remains, heaving as he was covered in shadow. The traitor looked up to see Bakugo, holding one hand with the other. "Bakugo, I'd save it," the teenager responded, raising a hand. "But we're friends!" "No," Bakugo replied before a blast and a scream echoed across the plains. "We're not." How are you liking this narrative? Let me know in the comments below so that I'm only creating series that you actually want. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for making history with me.